Good day, fellow sinners. It has been a long time, but today we have something special. Today we'll be reviewing a replay with a community-created casting overlay. Without further ado, let's check it out. As you can see, we have now an extra overlay which shows us resources of each player. In small green number, we have the per second income. We also can see their current supply along with the queued supply in a tiny green number. We can also see their current amount of labs, the civilian and military labs. And in the middle of the screen, we can also see this team-based sum of their available resources along with the income per second in green number with the current team-based supply. As far as our replay goes, we'll be covering a game between Team Aokia, consisting out of Zabik on Vasari, Trolik on Advent, and Lear the Cat on Advent as well. They will be facing a group of people from different clans. For one, we have Hensier from clan Dujia against Zabik. We have KBN from the clan NSS, who will be the echo for the opponent team. And we also have NB Home Home without any clan, who is playing on Vasari, and we will be facing Lear the Cat. As we can see from the casting overlay directly, Trolling being the echo for the Team Okia, went for 4 civilian labs. Interestingly enough, we can also see that Hensier, despite being aggro and there is rather a short distance between the two players, pink and blue, he also went for 4 civilian labs. Mainly thanks for the Advent item, Harmony Research Center, which gives extra civilian labs, and this is likely for some early focus and unity abilities. In the meantime, our players have been expanding. Each player was capable of claiming an extra asteroid. We can also see Lear now capturing this derelict, which is really fast because he's playing as Advent Reborn, who have an ability, or rather a technology, which speeds up the process by 200%. So level 1 derelict will be captured in mere 20 seconds instead of 1 minute. His opponent, NB Home Home, went for Dosrak Raider. Where is it? Here it is. It's somewhat weird or risky choice because Advent have the Tempest vessel, which is perfect against corvettes and can even annihilate the best corvettes in the game. The Defensor vessel available to Vasari. The Dosrak Raider is somewhat it's not per se squishier than the Defensor, but it lacks PD guns, which would be able to shoot down the missiles and reduce the incoming damage from Tempests. Yeah, but that was his choice of taking up. He's building even more raiders, as we can see here. Meanwhile, we can see that Hensier, pink player, is now pushing Zabik just with his Halcyon carrier. And Zabik went for Defensors. Also, somewhat a risky choice against an Advent player who has access to Tempests. We can now see the battle between two capital ships begins. Zabik turns his egg for a second at the Hansier Halcyon. It's currently indecisive if he should jump to the ice planet or fight the asteroid. We can shortly check out the team overlay. We can see that there is a slight supply advantage for the right team. The UI also shows the losses within the past 60 seconds compared to the max supply. Dujiu Hanser was capable of bombing out the asteroid and is now moving to the next asteroid, trying to cause some economic damage. He used his telekinetic push to push out corvettes just before jumping to the next gravity well. Quite a nice move. He was trying to colonize the planet with his missionary vessel, but Zabik was faster with his egg colonizing. Zabik is also using some nanotech swarm to deal extra damage to the Halcyon carrier. We can see that Lear is taking some minor damage because his supply is in red. We will go there shortly, but likely it was damage done by neutral militia. Hanser's Halcyon carrier is getting very low. He won't be able to bomb out this asteroid. It's now in crippled hit points, and it looks desperate for the Halcyon carrier as he goes for the run. He no longer can use his telekinetic push because the hull is crippled, so those corvettes can deal their full damage. However, since he's Advent Reborn, he has the ability to recall, so he just teleported back to his homeworld. And since recall also regenerates hit points, he was able to regenerate a bunch of his hull. And his Halcyon, while not at full fighting strength, is still now capable of fighting. And because of this maneuver of harassing Zabik, he could take lead in colonizing planets. He now controls 4 planets versus just 2 on Zabik. Yeah, if you check out the other flank, we can see that NB Home has colonized this asteroid, and we are about to get a battle for this volcanic planet between 2 players. Lear was somewhat unlucky to jump in a few seconds earlier. This means that most of the militia is going to aggro on his Halcyon carrier, and Halcyon has some decent point defense, so it won't take too much damage, but still, all of these ships could have been firing at NB Home's Vassara ships. It looks like he also brought a German migrator to quickly colonize the planet, but we can also see that Lear is bringing his first Tempests into the battle. Right now, there are some minor battles happening. Both teams are getting more supply, currently at almost 500 on both ends. We also are having a huge battle for this early game stage, where Hanser is building Tempests, but because there are so few Tempests, defenders are actually capable of shooting down all of the missiles, despite that Tempests are designed to overwhelm one defense. When there are this big numbers advantage for defenders, they can actually shoot down most of the missiles, if not even all. So yes, right now we can see that Zabek is taking damage, but his supply is vastly superior to Hanser's, who is sitting at 130 supply. He has a lot of supply queued. Right now he's at 60 supply queued, but he has to retreat from this ice planet, and this will allow Zabik to snipe the reinforcements. As you can see, yeah, missiles are being shut down just because there are so many defensors. So yes, Hanser was able to achieve some minor economic advantage by colonizing those planets, but now he's on the run because he's vastly outnumbered by defensors. Meanwhile, we see that Lear was forced to retreat, likely to intercept those raiders. He doesn't want to take any chances of them destroying the backline. He even built some Gauss defense platforms. We also see that this volcanic planet will be tricky to colonize because it's directly attached to the pirates, and they will constantly raid this volcanic planet, whoever colonizes it. But we can see that Lear doesn't stop there. He goes for bombardment of this planet. It was quickly recolonized by NB Home, and he actually also captured a Harka, but the Harka goes down. And the NB Home Home is losing supply. He is currently just at 100 supply against 240 on Lear. This gives Lear some courage to stay on this planet and even return for bombing, even though the shields on the Halcyon carrier are dropping down. If we check out the other flank, we can see that Zabik continues to mess his defensors while Egg bombards the ice planet. He is at 300 supply. 300 supply is for Vasari like a choke point. He just researched the next technology, so his supply continues to climb. Henserer tries to build his forces. He did extra frigate factories. He is at 4 frigate factories on his homeworld, which will allow him to quickly catch up with the numbers from Zabik, who is reinforcing just from 2 frigate factories. Meanwhile, the Echo players, we can see that KBN is actually going for 8 military labs. So even though he's an Echo player, he went for 8 military labs, which is likely to use garrisons, I suppose. Meanwhile, Trollic stayed on 4-7 labs and just spreads his culture and colonizes the planets. We can see that Lear was actually pushed back, his Halcyon heavily damaged. However, he is now trying to capture this volcanic planet. And we can see that NB Home Home opted to go for capital ships. Now, once his Tosorok raiders didn't manage to deal significant amount of damage. We can also see in team-based supply that Team Alkia is 200 supply ahead of their opponents. And finally, Zabek managed to colonize this ice planet, which will allow him to push 2 planets simultaneously. We can also see a defensor scouting party and Henserer now sitting at 26 Tempests, quite a formidable force, even though it's much less than there are defensors, but it's already numbers with which you can try to fight the Vasari menace. We can also see that Zabek instantly goes for extra factories and a defense platform so that he can hold here, because while Ice Planet is not a perfect choke due to its big gravity well, it still offers 2 phase lines from which you can harass your opponent. The defenders now attack the 2 Gauss defense platforms built from the Minor Faction ability, and we are about to get a massive battle between a blue and pink player. We actually see that pink player almost caught up with Zabik in terms of supply. We also see that Zabik has over 100 supply queued, so he could benefit from more factories. I suppose that's because, yeah, he's building more factories on the ice planet. But right now, the battle begins. We have somewhat equal supply with a slight advantage for Vasari, but Advent have the technological advantage of using Tempests who counter the defensors, and also the Halcyon carrier capable of doing some nasty damage with its telekinetic push. We see that the numbers begin to slowly drop for the Vasari player, but the Advent player is also taking some minor losses. Zabik was capable of colonizing this asteroid and instantly places a Gauss defense platform to try and hold here. His position is very fragile because he no longer has a real numbers advantage, just 57 defensors against 40 Tempests, and a reminder, there are 4 frigate factories on this desert planet. So yes, Vasari player has to retreat and leave this planet back to its original owner. Meanwhile, on the other side, we can see that there is a 2v1 situation. Lear is using all of his Tempests to fight off 2 Vasari capital ships, which are quite a hard target for Tempests, who have 0 pierce, and capital ships have 500 durability each. But we can see that Lear focuses on smaller ships and chases KBN's fleet away. So yes, nevertheless, we can see that in the past minute, the Team Aukia did have higher losses with the minus 100 supply, while their opponents only got minus 30 supply, so they are replenishing all of their losses quite quickly. Where's the egg? Yeah, Zabik did split his egg off to bombard the planet. This will also disable two labs for Hanser and probably could disable his future technological level up. Nevertheless, Zabik is in big trouble because his defenders are facing huge Tempest forces, and while defenders can shoot some missiles, they cannot shoot them all. So Zabik just tries to win some time. He sits at low supply. His supply is now actually equal to the supply of Hanserer. But on the other flank, we can see that Lear already has 600 supply. And even though it's a 2v1 situation, we can quickly assess that he is facing just 400 supply of Kabin and Be Home Home. So yes, pirates can be annoying on this planet, but with such a formidable force of Tempest, Lear can easily push here. In the meantime, we see raiders desperately shooting at the missiles, trying to win some time, but the longer it goes, the more it shows that Hanser is having 4 frigate factories resupplying his fleets. Nevertheless, Zabik was able to bombard this planet, and that will cause some extra economic damage. His fleet has to retreat. The ice planet is being forced to be abandoned. We can see that defenders barely can shoot any missiles. They have to jump out now, but while they jump out, they have to stop for a short period, which allows missiles to catch up, and even more losses have been taken. And now we can see that Hanser is ahead in supply. Meanwhile, Lear doesn't risk it. He methodically bombed out the planet and prepares to continue his push against the two players. And Be Home Home tries to build up defenses. He got 5 pulse guns and is getting some Gauss defense platforms from the minor faction. Yes. Meanwhile, Hanser's carrier is about to bomb out the ice planet and return the control. However, he paid price of 2 planets because this asteroid now belongs to Zabik once again. You can see that Egg now uses its AoE abilities on Tempest, trying to weaken them. However, with such huge numbers, it's questionable if it's going to have any significant impact, especially if defenders are outmatched in terms of supply. Team-wise, we can see that the right flank is more about harassments and flying, avoiding contact. We can see the Tempests are dealing some significant damage to the egg, even though they have 0 pierce. When there are so many defenders, they can actually even try to pierce the armor of the egg. We can now see that defenders are going for the Halcyon carrier. They cannot take forward engagement with the Tempests, but they can try to damage the capital ship. However, Hanser is currently capped at 500 supply, probably researching his next supply technology as we speak. While Zabik cannot reach his default 600 supply as Asari, he actually drops down below 400 right now. Meanwhile, on the other side, we can see that the battle begins. Lear using just Tempests, flying out of the radiation bomb and facing 4 capital ships here with a decent amount of AoE damage. However, he just flies once again out of any AoE, causing his Tempest to be vulnerable. It's quite a task to penetrate all this durability and armor. Gabian tries to counter Tempest with Gardas. Gardas will not shoot down missiles effectively to the point of countering them. However, they can reduce the incoming damage, and this does force Lear to retreat, especially since pirates are now pushing him. However, this push from pirates can actually mean extra experience for his capital ship. Meanwhile, we can see that there are defenders flying at Hanser's homeworld. They're somewhat faster than Tempest. They have 840 speed against 800 on Tempests. However, yes, Tempest can like cut a corner and catch up with the defenders to some degree. Uh, Meanwhile, we can see that yes, Halcyon Carrier was just teleported back with recall, which allows Egg to bomb out the ice planet and reclaim it. So even though Zabek is below in supply and actually is not doing any more supply right now, he is bombing out this planet and will be able to begin production on these factories immediately once he colonizes the planet. Let's check it out if we can see instant. Looks like, yeah, there it is. Ships are being now built in an instant. Zabi goes for even more defenders, and though he is heavily outmatched now in supply. Meanwhile, on the other flank, Lear managed to take up two Icon's Guardians, who have shield projection ability, which reduces any damage dealt to ships near them, and he prepares for his 2v1 push. Meanwhile, Trollic simply colonized his side of the galaxy and is feeding his allies. We can see that Hanser goes for a push with his carrier, trying to bomb out this asteroid. However, Zabik was sneaky enough to increase the hit points of this asteroid, which will force Hanser to be stuck here with his carrier for quite some time. We can see that Zabik attacked up to Severan Overseer to debuff enemy Tempests, and his Egg tried to bomb this asteroid. However, Hanser was also smart enough to upgrade the hit points on this asteroid, so it's not an easy task. And AoE goes into Tempests, but the Egg is forced to retreat, almost losing its armor on the retreat. It actually loses all of its armor, and it has to run. We can see that Zabik tries to take advantage of his higher speed, and he now goes for the carrier, ignoring the Tempests. Meanwhile, we have a massive battle, which already cost 100 supply to the other team in the past 60 seconds. Yeah, we can see that Kabian is losing a lot of his fleet, while Lear doesn't pay much with his ships. Lear actually got over 1000 supply already, which gives a significant advantage to the bottom team. Meanwhile, we have an engagement with the carrier as Zabik uses Nano Tech Swarm to heavily damage the carrier. Advent still has recall, so he can try retweeting with his recall ability. However, even if it is cast, it takes 30 seconds to teleport out, so this carrier is actually quite in a tricky situation. Tempests are trying to cover him, however, it looks like this carrier goes down. It did cost some defenders, however, Zabik was willing to take this engagement because now this means that Advent player lost his ability to bomb planets. And we can see, yes, the Advent actually was using the recall ability, but it took too long for it to trigger which actually meant that defenders can freely roam now, as Tempests were forced teleported out of the planet, and this gives even more tactical advantage to Zabic. On the other side, Lear has protected his volcanic planet from pirates, and yeah, Hanser now tries to do another push. He has 100 Tempests uh, against mere 76 defenders, so Zabic has less defenders than his opponent has Tempests. However, since now Hanser has no capital ship and no bombing power, uh, Zabic can simply ignore his fleet and tech up. We can see that Zabic already is going for 8 laps for a technological upgrade, which will unlock more supply and advanced ships. We can see that Trollic is actually suffering from some raiding parties by Kabian. Kabian, what is it? 15 cross-offs, along with the colony frigates being here, so Kabian is now colonizing those planets. And to take down 15 cross-offs, it takes quite significant firepower. Nevertheless, Trollic is actually has 8 laps, which opens for him tier 3, both civilian and military. He was forced to get some fleet. He didn't have any fleet for quite some time now. He's getting more ships, and we can see that the bottom team is actually almost double the supply, but this advantage is mostly thanks to Lear, who alone contributes over 1000 supply, which is over the half of the bottom team's supply. Yeah, we can see that Tempests and Defensors are trying to dodge each other. Tempests were actually able to catch up with Defensors, and this will cause some heavy losses on Defensors. Yes, we can see that the supply is dropping. 20 supply. Well, 5 Defensors were more like 6 defenders were lost, just basically for free without any retaliation. Doesn't sound like much, however, each such engagement means defenders lost. At the same time, we can see quite a bold move with the Raiders, because Tempests were out of position. Zabic went for Raiders and is actually killing this Temple of Hostility, which could hinder the tech-up process of Hanser, as he is about to lose one of his labs. He is now at 3, which locks him out of tier 2 technologies. And the defenders, their speed is also 840, so they can try to avoid Tempests, or at least win some time. We can also see that because Hanser doesn't have any capital ship, he was forced to switch to purge vessels to bombard. However, they are very vulnerable to defensor raids, and we can see now that Hanser is now left just with his homeworld, but vastly superior fleet, as he has 700 supply of Tempests, who are quite technologically good, while Zabic sits at 500 supply. On the other side, we can see Lear pushing through. He, being Advent, he has somewhat of an issue to bomb planets, but he now actually has 2 Halcyon carriers, which will bomb out this fortified asteroid relatively easily. And he even went with his fleet for a push without capital ships, because he knows he has vast advantage. He sits at over 1000 supply, while both Kabian and NB Home have less than 1000 supply together. We can see that Zabic is still at disadvantage in terms of fleet supply here. It appears he wanted to bomb out this planet, but it will not do any economic damage to the desert planet, and it has 4000 hit points, so it would take a lot of time to deal any damage. Egg could have used its ultimate to gain some a tiny bit of extra resources, 900 metal, 900 crystal, But yeah, in fact, Zabik is now forced to retreat from Desert Planet. And meanwhile, let's check it out. Kabian was actually capable of bombing out 3. This was also bombed out 4 planets. So, and he still has 4 Course of Siege frigates uh, harassing the Trollocs planet. Oh, he actually has even more here. There are 6 extra cross-offs, causing some heavy damage to his economy as he needs to recolonize all those planets and reinvest. We can see an unlucky jump from those defenders who jumped the very same moment Tempest jumped in. So we can see even more losses, minus 70 supply on, and all of this is likely on Zabik. So yes, even though Advent Player is now just down to 1 planet, his fleet allows him to punish all of the Zabik's attempts at flying around. Zabik actually opts to go with his egg for some extra income by colonizing those planets. We can also see Zabik Trollic appears to be preparing to colonize this gas giant. Yes, he actually packed up to colonize the gas giant. Gas giants are quite great in terms of income if you manage to take up. Meanwhile, we can see some force splitting from Zabik in an attempt to kite his opponent. However, it appears that Hanser was able to respond and split his forces in 2 as well. Meanwhile, Lear was capable of bombing out this planet. Pirates are still annoying, but because there is no more pressure from opponent team, Lear was capable of rotating his structures to face pirates, so now there are significant turrets protecting this volcanic planet, and it sits at almost 10k hit points, making it nigh impossible to bomb out for pirates. We are actually getting battle from Lear on the set. He's taking some minor losses, but it appears he was targeting the Marza, but now he prefers to go for Vasari player and cause some killing some of the smaller ships before he goes for the big ships. We just saw an animation from the ability where you can sacrifice a ship and heal your entire fleet. Lear likely used it on his Guardian vessel to heal all of his fleet. So yeah, we can actually see that Lear is building ships faster than his opponents are killing his ships, while he's causing some heavy losses, minus 200 supply in the past minute on his opponents. You can actually see that Kabian tacked up to have flag burst, so Tempests are now dealing much less damage. However, how many did he get? Tempest symbiote. There are actually quite a lot of flag bursts, which is concerning for Lear. However, since he's flying in circles, he forces out enemy ships out of the protection from the flag burst. Flag burst has rather small range, so it gives an opportunity to strike ships. However, we can see that Tempest targeting while they are moving is not very optimal. They switch between capital ships and basically spread out the damage. So it appears that supply-wise, KBN and NB Home are able to stabilize for a bit. Let's quickly check out the other flank. Here we can see that Tempests are still flying around. However, we see a technological switch from Zabek. He now has Cortovases. However, it's just 8 Cortovases against 124 Tempests. And yeah, obviously, Cortovases are good against Tempests, but not to a degree where you can have 136 Tempests shooting at 9 heavy cruisers. However, there are some turrets and even some missile platforms which can help out Cortovases. along with the Severin Overseers who can reduce their damage. However, for that you need to place them on top of Tempests. Let's check out this battle quickly. We have a lot of action on the map. Both teams are pushing. There is a supply advantage on the left flank for Lear, but there is also supply advantage for Hanser on the right. Heavy cruiser numbers are actually not dropping, they are even slowly rising. Now 13 heavy cruisers as of right now. So this is likely thanks to repair platforms who can effectively repair the armor on those heavy cruisers. Now heavy cruisers actually left the range of most turrets, so their numbers are starting to drop. Yeah, they have to retreat back to hide behind all the turrets because missiles can actually hit structures on accident, which basically means that the damage is like inefficiently spent. On the other side, we can see that it's also somewhat of a stalemate. Teams are replacing their losses quite efficiently. So even though there is a constant fighting going on, the supply isn't really dropping for all of the teams. However, we can see now that Trolik is entering the battlefield with his mass purge vessels, and he bombed out this ice planet from Fabian, so he is opening a second front. So Lear is no longer playing 2v1 station here. On this side, we can see that heavy cruiser numbers are slowly climbing, now at 19, while Tempest numbers are somewhat stable, 136. That's still huge advantage in terms of supply. It's 800 supply against 300 supply of heavy cruisers. However, it looks like Tempests are forced to retreat. Hanser was actually capable of reclaiming this asteroid. So he has 2 planets right now. Egg is somewhat in trouble, being focused by 140 Tempests, taking heavy damage. But now actually heavy cruisers go on the offense here. Meanwhile, on the other side, we can see that Tempests are having some fighting here. It looks like there were some heavy losses. Those are likely Tempests on Lear, minus 170 supply on Team Alukia. Meanwhile, we have Tempests here, and heavy cruiser numbers dropped after that engagement. So Hanser is looking for a chance to push through. However, the missile platforms have huge range, so they can fire a Tempest even from here. EOE ability is being used on Tempests, and heavy cruisers are dealing quite significant damage. Egg tries to jump to another planet to avoid being focused fired. And also, we can see that a Purge vessel has been captured, and which allowed Zabik to bomb out this planet even without using his egg. There appears to be some maneuver on the egg. It will be jumping out back to the ice planet. Zabik cannot take those fights yet. He only has 500 supply already, but it's just 350 supply of heavy cruisers. Meanwhile, on this side, Lear continues to use his Tempests. We have almost 170 Tempests facing a lot of flag bears. However, because he flies in such circles, he forces capital ships out of position and can actually deal damage to ships around him without the concern of flag burst impacting his DPS. So yeah, we can actually see now a 1000 supply advantage for Team Alukia, and Yeah, that's GG being called because Trolik is now pushing deep into Kabian's territory, and there is nothing Kabian can do against Trollic forces, as all of his forces are being tied against all of those tempests. We can actually see that Kabian surrendered, however, the battle continues as we have 22 heavy cruisers facing now only 125 Tempests. So, and yeah, Hensler has surrendered. We are at the end of our replay. And I thank you for joining me today while stress testing this casting overlay. See you next time.